Hello everyone, and today I'd like to show you a very famous and incredibly beautiful chess game by Jose Raul Capablanca. He had the white pieces in this chess game. You might have seen this chess game before from the Carlsbad chess tournament from 1929, a very important prestigious chess tournament. Many of the best chess players of that era competed in this tournament. So Capablanca's opponent, his victim, I should say, was Karel Trebel, one of the strongest chess masters from the Czech Republic at that time, especially in the early 20th century. So let's see what happened in this extremely famous notable chess game. So we have d4, d5, and then c4, Queen's Gambit. So Slav defense, knight to f3. Even today the Slav defense is one of the most popular responses to the Queen's Gambit. So e6, and we have bishop to g5. Bishop to e7, and Capablanca is exchanging the bishops, and with exchanging the bishops actually black is going to suffer because of giving up his dark square bishop just like that in the dark squares, but he didn't know about that at this moment of the game. So Capablanca played knight from b to d2, both defending on c4 and preparing to play e4. So we have f5 clamping on e4, e3, and then knight to d7, developing the pieces, knight to h6, and both players castled. Queen to c2, g6, and black is pushing the pawn, and you can see that black actually has some weakness already in the dark squares, and his bishop on c8 doesn't look very good. So rook from a to b1, knight to f6, and then the perfect parking spot for the knight, e5, knight to e5, so knight to f7, and then f4. Stonewall structure, and Capablanca is cementing the position and supporting the knight with pushing the f-pawn. So bishop to d7, developing the bishop, but the bishop is not firing at anything. So knight is getting in, and then rook over and b4 by Capablanca, expanding from the queen side. So Capablanca is basically going to choke his opponent both in the queen side and also in the king side in this chess game famously. So we have bishop back and then rook over. So Capablanca is preparing to expand in the queen side. So a6 and then queen to f2. So knight takes, finally getting rid of the pretty annoying looking knight, but now the other knight is dominant on e5. The perfect spot, the perfect parking spot for the knight. This is a very beautiful parking spot indeed. So knight to d7, challenging the annoying knight. But Capablanca is simply retreating, and then rook over and c5, choking his opponent in the queen side, and this is a big space advantage on c5 for white. So already white is better. So we have knight to f6, a4 by Capablanca. Again, he continues to expand. Knight to g4, so temporary retreating the queen, and then knight to h6, h3, so h3 was coming anyway, so knight to f7, shuffling around, and then finally this time Capablanca is expanding from the king side, choking on the both sides. So bishop to d7, you can see that the bishop is extremely passive, and that's a miserable piece. The bishop is in lockdown, and it is helplessly stuck. That's a miserable position already for black. So we have lifting the rook up. Capablanca can swing the rook over to the king side and targeting the king. So king over, rook to g2, rook to g8, and then g5. So queen goes back, and then h4. So potentially Capablanca can also play h5 and then knight to h4. That is a possibility. So king to g7, escaping, and then h5. Rook over, and then queen to c7. Shuffling around, and black is actually helpless. He doesn't have any good move, and his pieces are already looking quite miserable and clunky. So queen to c3, queen goes back. Black has no good moves, as you can see. King to f2, queen to c7, and black is helpless, and he has no good moves. He has no breaking counter-attacking move as well. So we have rook over. So Capablanca can push the pawn. He can also take the pawn. So queen to a1, and Capablanca is playing the waiting game. So shuffling around and making his opponent to make a bad move. So exclamation point, b5. Finally, the breaking move by Capablanca to open the position for launching the brutal attack. So a takes on b5, and before capturing, actually white has a very important move, another exclamation point h6. So this is a very important move. So the king has to move on f8, and then Capablanca captured the pawn, and black can't capture back, because if black captures the pawn, you can see that pushing the pawn is going to come with check, checking the king, and also attacking the bishop. So we have king to e7, another miserable move, and look at this, incredible. b6, queen goes back, defending the queen, and Capablanca is squeezing life out of his opponent. He squeezed treble both in the king and in the queen side with big space advantage, and we see this aesthetically interesting and beautiful pawn structure, this V structure on the board. I mean, this game can be in the art museum, actually. It looks like it is so aesthetically beautiful and interesting. And it's also very rare to see some pawn structure, some position like this in a real chess game. So he's basically, again, squeezing life out of his opponent, both in the king side and in the queen side, like anaconda. And this is almost resignable already for black, in my opinion. Black can't develop the bishop as well. Look at this bishop. It is completely stuck and it has nowhere to go. So Capablanca is planning to build his army on the A file, on the open A file. So he's going to use that open A file, as you can see. So he's creating this Alekhin's cannonball, Alekhin's gun on the A file. And black is basically stuck in the 8th rank. Look at this. Look at his pieces. He can't move the knight. He can't move the bishop. I mean, the bishop is completely stuck. And now, this is, in my opinion, this is a resignable position for black. So, Mr. Treble, in fact, he can actually even resign right now in this position. So, we have king to g8 and then king to g3, bishop to d7. He's also making some waiting moves, and Capablanca, it looks like he's just basically torturing his opponent. So king to g8, king to g3, so moving around, and then knight to d2, and this is a very important move. The knight is on his way to a5. So knight to a5, you can see that it is going to put big pressure on b7. So okay, we have bishop to d7, knight to b3, rook over, and finally knight to a5, and black can do nothing about it. Knight goes back for the defense. This is a desperate defensive attempt, but what would you do in this position? White actually has a very strong move in this position. So at certain point, of course, white needs to blast open the position to launch a brutal attack to defeat his opponent. So can you guess the next move of Capablanca? Actually, this is not a very difficult question. Okay, bishop to h6, exclamation point, and how to defend. So attacking the pawn, what else? Black has to capture, but this time the bishop is falling. Rook takes on d7, and basically white is breaking in. Rook to e7, but now can you guess the second very beautiful aesthetic move for Capablanca? What would you do in this position if you had the white pieces? So guess the move. If I give you a few seconds, actually after that move, black is completely lost. I mean, he was lost already, but basically white is winning by force. So when we think about forcing moves, we think about check, actually. Rook takes on d8, another exclamation point. This was the final smashing attack and very beautiful, nice tactics by Jose Raul Capablanca. And black captured the rook, the only move, or moving the king, but it doesn't make any sense. And then Capablanca played the final move. He played knight takes on c6, forking everything, and black resigned. So the possible continuation, moving the queen and defending the queen, and then capturing the rook, queen takes knight, and then capturing, knocking the head off the a pawn, and now white is 2 pawns up with 2 passed connected pawns. So this is all over, and look at the pawn structure. It was an incredibly beautiful, aesthetically beautiful chess game, and this position was a very famous position. So, okay, what do you think? I mean, the final combination was also very beautiful, especially this combination, rook takes and then rook takes knight. Very simple stuff, but very beautiful as well. So, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time with more interactive chess games. Do take care, stay safe, and bye-bye.